What's going on, everyone? So we're entering the second half of the NBA season, and I'm really excited to see how is this going to shape up. How are the Lakers going to continue to progress? Now, will Luka and LeBron be able to figure it out? I believe that they will, but it's still a question, right? They played 2 games together. We got to at least see how that shapes up, how that kind of unfolds over the course of the next 30 games, and are they going to be able to kind of figure it out to the scale needed to win a championship, right? Because there's different levels. It's like, okay, like, oh man, Lakers are a contender. Then there's like, this works, but not quite enough to be a contender. And then there's like, hey, it looks okay, but not where you need it to be. And then it's like, okay, this is looking bad. This is looking terrible. Okay, this just doesn't work, right? Like there's all these different levels, all these different scales. But 2IQ guys, LeBron, he's been begging to get somebody like Luka for years so he can kind of take a backseat. I do think a lot of the adjustment is going to come from LeBron. But regardless, whatever happens, right? Let's say best case scenario, Lakers win the NBA championship and they, were hoisting the Larry O'Brien trophy, which I do believe is an actual real potential, right? Lakers still have a ton of holes, a ton of needs, and are really going to, this team is probably, even if they win the championship, this team probably looks very different next season, right? Because, again, Lakers are still going to need needs. If they win the championship, it's probably because Luka and LeBron are so transcending, they were able to pull it out and win the chip, right? Other guys, Rui might have been big, or Reeves might have been big, or some of these other guys. But Lakers are going to have a bunch of tough decisions to make in the offseason, right? Because, one, you're going to have guys like Gabe Vincent, Rui Hachimura, Austin Reeves, all on expiring contracts. They have $40+ million in expiring contracts, which we saw this past trade deadline. Those have a ton of value in and of itself, right? Guys were able to get better deals just because they had expiring contracts because teams don't want to take on a bunch of long-term money. So that's great. Austin Reeves. Lakers are really going to have to figure out what do they want to do with Austin Reeves, right? That's something to really keep an eye on this season, this back half of the season, right? How does Austin Reeves fit alongside Luka and LeBron? And even then, let's say it does look great. If you can get a better complementary piece, particularly long-term alongside Luka, Lakers still might explore that. They're going to have to pay Austin Reeves. And Austin Reeves is not going to be cheap. Austin Reeves is going to be very expensive. And teams are going to pay him. And so Lakers are going to have to figure out, do we want to pay Austin Reeves $30 to $40 million a year? Or do we want to, go a different way, right? That's something the Lakers, that's probably going to be the toughest decision that the Lakers have to make this upcoming offseason, right? What do they do with Austin Reeves? But beyond that, they're going to be players because bare minimum, you need a starting center. So bare minimum, we're getting a starting center, whether it's a trade or a sign-in trade, right? Maybe it's a trade for Mark Williams still. Maybe it's a sign-in trade for a Miles Turner. Maybe you're signing a guy like a Clint Capella in free agency, right? There's options there. There's flexibility there. LeBron James is expected to take a discount in the offseason. And if that's true, right, he could free up whatever you want, right? He could free up the full mid-level exception. He could fill up the biannual exception, right? So you could bring in, several guys. Lakers can make some trades. They'll have a first. They'll have 4 pick swaps. They'll have 2 seconds if you get to before the draft, right? So Lakers are going to be, I imagine, very active. I think teams are going to be calling the Lakers like crazy because they're going to know, hey, Lakers are going to be very active. They have a bunch of expiring contracts. They have a bunch of assets. Can we maybe convince them to give us Austin Reeves? Can we maybe convince them to take or give us Dalton Connect, right? Those are going to be 2 guys that I think are going to be very valued. So Lakers are going to really be in the driver's seat. Obviously, I want them to still be patient, let things unfold, let things develop, right? Rob, I think, has done a very good job with his patience, right? You don't want to just jump on things just to jump on things, but, there's already talks about them being interested in a guy like a Kevin Durant in the offseason, which wouldn't surprise me. I think that there's pros and cons either way. I did a whole video on that Kevin Durant rumor. If you're interested about that, check out that video. But there's going to be, I think, several stars potentially available. Do any of them make sense alongside Luka and LeBron? Because you got to keep in mind, Lakers aren't going to be just building for now and LeBron. They're building for long-term alongside Luka. So if the Lakers could get another star that makes sense alongside Luka, Lakers probably do that. I'm not saying that that's Kevin Durant, because Kevin Durant's kind of more on LeBron's timeline, right? Like, that'd be kind of now for now. But, like, if the right guy becomes available, I don't be shocked if the Lakers go and make a push. And it's like, why are we so focused on another star? We should be trying to get the role players. We should be getting centers and stuff like that. Because the Lakers are going to know, like, hey, LeBron's only got so many years left, right? We need to make sure we have Luka. And you got to keep in mind, Luka could still leave. I don't think it happens. I'm pretty confident it's not going to happen. But they need to make sure that they are showing Luka, like, hey, we got you, right? Like, we went and got this guy, and he's going to be great alongside you, and you two are going to be able to figure out. And for right now, you have LeBron too, and we're still going to go get you that. So maybe you still go get a Mark Williams. And it's like, even in a post-LeBron era, you're going to have at least you, this other star, and Mark Williams for the next, 10 years. And we'll just be putting the pieces around you. Now you're going to be a contender every year for the next, like I said, 10 plus years, right? Like that is something you need to keep an eye on and keep in the back of your mind as well, right? Like that the Lakers, a lot of the decisions that the Lakers make are going to be for Luka. It's not going to be so much for like winning a championship right now. It's not going to be so much for LeBron James, right? Like they got Luka for the long term. So they're going to build the pieces, right? Like Mark Williams, again, like that's a guy that is for the long term. That's why they were interested in going after him. That's why they didn't go like get a more veteran center, right? They were trying to get a young center that they could plug in next to Luka for the next 10 years. If you wanted to just get a center, there were several centers that they could have just gotten, right? That they could have just traded for, especially for that package. You probably could have gotten some higher end centers, right? Like you probably could have gotten a Nick Claxton or something, right? Like something like that, right? Especially if you're giving up Connect and stuff, and he's 25. But no, Lakers wanted a very specific center. They wanted a very specific type of center. So I think, without a doubt, bare minimum, Lakers are getting a center, right? Like that's, sticking with that. I've said center like 15 times in the last 30 seconds, but it's because it's such a prominent point for the Lakers. It's something that is desperately needing addressed. Again, even if the Lakers win a championship this year, it's that doesn't mean like, oh, we're good, we don't need a center. No, you still absolutely need a center, right? You absolutely need that locked, right? And whether you're getting that through, the draft or somebody in the offseason takes some real strides, you're getting it through free agency, or you're doing a sign and trade, like I said, with like Miles Turner, or maybe you're still doing the Mark Williams trade, or maybe, a Jalen Duren does become available or something like that, right? One of these young guys, or maybe Utah does go, okay, fine, we'll give us Connect and a first and, all, 2 pick swaps, and we'll give you whatever, Walker Kessler or something like that, which I still think would be the best option available. If you can go get Walker Kessler, go get Walker Kessler. But Lakers are going to be active. Teams are going to be active with the Lakers. I know a lot of people look at it like Lakers don't want to, no one wants to trade with the Lakers. Teams don't want to, but if it benefits them, they will, right? And the Lakers, again, are going to have a ton of expiring contracts, a ton of expiring salary, and they're going to have really good, like, again, Austin Reeves is very good. And a lot of teams are going to be looking at that as like, hey, he could be our star. Right, he's been great alongside LeBron and Anthony Davis. What does he look like if he's the main guy or the second option? Right, we've seen him, go out and drop 40 as a second option, right, or the primary option. What if he is the primary or secondary option? Right, because we have this guy or whatever, right? Like, maybe you can't get Jalen Duren for Connect in a first. Maybe you get Jalen Duren for Austin Reeves, right? Maybe you could get an Ivy for, a Jaden Ivey and a Duren for like Reeves in a first or something like that. Now you got that point of attack defensive guy that you can slot alongside Luka, who's young and can be your guy for now and the future. And you got a Jalen Duren, right? Like, again, I'm just like trying to think of guys that are young that would make sense. But, again, maybe one of these teams. Now, Austin Reeves has to want to go to Detroit. And he said on record, like, I ain't going to Detroit. So that's something. But, like, my point is that, like, that's what I could see the Lakers looking to find, right? Can you get these good, young talent that slots alongside Luka, that fits and complements Luka, and, now you have this flexibility. You got to get a center, got to get some 3-and-D guys, right? Like, luckily, everything that the Lakers need for Luka, you also need for LeBron, because they are such similar players. They are essentially the same player, right? So, like, going and getting a guy like, a Mark Williams also benefits LeBron. Going and getting, 2, 3, and D guys also benefits LeBron, right? Because, again, LeBron has those kick-out guys, can defend and do that stuff. So, luckily, everything you need for Luka and any moves that you'd make for now in the future still would benefit LeBron, which is good. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, and I pass a question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Do you expect the Lakers to be kind of big players in the offseason? Do you think that, they're going to be very active, or do you think, no, they'll probably just get a center and that's that? Do you think it depends on whether they win a championship or not, right? Obviously, if they lose in the first or second round, they might be a lot more active than, in trying to push harder for certain pieces than they would be if, say, they made it to the finals, or, they lost in a tough 7 in the conference finals or something, or, if they won a championship. But I feel whatever your thoughts are. I'd love to hear it either way, so let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me not, so we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.